All right, welcome back, everyone. So, in this session, I'm going to talk about a different situation we could have in hazmat, and the scenario I want to set up is a propane rail car, and I want to model a BLEVE. And so I want to show you how you can do that because I think there's a couple ways you can do it using the ERG and MarPlot and all that good stuff, but what I do want to show you is the limitations of Wiser. So I'm going to open up Wiser and I'm going to click known substances, extend it a little bit, and I'm going to go to propane. And we learned how, you can have this protective distance map. And that's what I want to show you here. Now, one thing I didn't go over is Latin long. I want to put this in the rail yard in Fairbanks, same location that we ran the first Wiser exercise, but I don't have the address. So, I talked about having more than one tool in your toolbox. So I'm going to show you a little trick here. I'm going to go into MarPlot, and I'm going to open up MarPlot. And when I do that, I'm going to set a click point where I want this incident to be. And there's MarPlot doing its flashing back and forth from satellite to non-satellite again. I don't know why it does that. That's really weird. It never did it until this last update. But we'll say our rail car is right here. So I'm going to set my click point. And now what I want you to do is go up here and look at the latitude and longitude, right? And so I can use this now in Wiser. And so if I take these and put them right in here in this bar and click lat long. And if you click lat long, you can see it separates it in two different boxes, right? So I'm going to go back and get the latitude out of MarPlot, which is 64.84. And I'll put that in this first box. Okay, now the second box, it drives me nuts because MarPlot uses west and east, and that's what I'm used to. Wiser doesn't use that. So west are negative numbers. So what I need to do is have a negative 147.75. And so I'm going to put this in here, negative 147.75. And hit submit, and we'll see what happens. And there it is. So let me get the aerial view here. Now, we kind of missed our target. The rail yard is actually, where is it? It's up here. But we're pretty close, right? So we can just drag our pin and put it where we want it. Now, if this propane rail car was on fire and we were worried about a BLEVE situation, this overlay doesn't model that. The only thing this overlay is modeling is the downwind protective action distances from the toxicity of propane, right? And so obviously if I put my wind direction out of the east, it's going to show a downwind protective action to the west. But you know what? If this thing explodes, it doesn't matter where the wind is going. Because it's going to be explosion. It's going to be a fireball, right? With a thermal load and flying shrapnel and all that stuff. Now, before I get too far away from Wiser here, I just want to show you, this is a chemical that's not green highlighted in ERG. So it still gives you like small or large spill, but you'll notice that when I change it, nothing happens. It does not change the inputs at all. Same with Dare Night. Again, that's conducive of the green highlighted materials. So, is it a great overlay for propane? No. And especially if I'm worried about this catching on fire. So here's a trick where you can use the ERG to overlay. And it doesn't really matter, if you go into the the ERG wherever, if you have the book. Because really, I'm going to go in here to explore tools into this guidebook, which again is the same. And I've got 1075 right there. What I want in the ERG though is I want to go to the bottom where it talks about evacuation. And it says, if tank, rail car, or tank truck is involved in fire, isolate for 1,600 meters or 1 mile in all directions. Okay, so that's what we need to do. And that's what this can't model. But if I get that information and put it in MarPlot, and I'll probably have to zoom out here a little bit, what I can do is I can go up to my measuring tool, and I can start at my click point, and I can drag till I have a radius of roughly 1 mile. And so we're looking at like 5,300 feet, 5,260, close enough. And now with this, I have a blast radius, right? Going off the ERG's recommendations. And again, it's something I can snip out and attach to a document or print out as a picture. So that is how you can use MarPlot in conjunction with Wiser or just a standalone ERG to determine that distance. But what I'd like to do is actually run this in Aloha. And we're going to compare. So hopefully I can move this. I don't think I can move it. Yep. I can't move it without my my distance going away. So let me center it here, and I'll run my measurement again. And let's see, 52. 52.99. I think that's about all I'm going to get with the sensitivity of the mouse. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to snip this out, and that'll allow us to compare the model between Wiser and Aloha. Okay, being ornery here. I can't snip. Ooh, 5278. Okay, so let me get the snipping tool. Now it's letting me snip. I must have clicked on something I shouldn't have. And so there we have a shot of what Wiser looks like. And I'm just going to save this as a picture. Here, we'll throw it on the desktop. And we'll just say Wiser pane rail car BLEVE. Okay, so now if we go to Aloha, and I'm going to keep my click point there because that's where we want the spill, so it'll actually be already in Aloha. But for Aloha, I get in here, and is the atmospheric data going to be a big thing in here? Probably not, but the container data is going to be huge, and that's what's going to drive the premises of this model. So for the site data, I got Fairbanks, Alaska. I've got unsheltered double-storied buildings. Let's go chemical. Should probably put a chemical in there. So propane. There's propane. Select that. Our atmospheric data, we'll do user input. So I actually added some temperatures and stuff to our exercise that we've been doing, the first Wiser exercise, July 25th, 2020. So we'll say it's 74 degrees. We'll still put our wind in there. Let's see. We said the wind was out of the east at 10 mile per hour. Whoops. East. This is obviously urban or forest. We'll say it's a clear day. Okay, I put the temperature in where the wind speed was. We would have had a 74 mile an hour wind. Sorry, wind speed at 10 from the east. Clear. Here's my temperature. So there I can put in 74. We'll say it's like 25% humidity. It's been dry for a little bit. All right, now for the source, I'm going to go into tank again, and I'm going to make this a 9 by 50 foot rail car. Click OK. So obviously it's going to contain liquid, and we'll say it's stored at ambient. And then the mass, we'll just assume it's full, so at 98%. So now, this is a screen we hadn't seen before because we weren't running a flammable. We were running chlorine. So now it's saying, okay, what kind of tank failure do we have? Do we have a leaky tank where the chemical is not burning as it escapes into the atmosphere? Do we have a leaky tank, but the chemical is burning as a jet fire? Or do we have a BLEVE? And I would encourage you, again, to get in here and play and look at some of these different models. But what I'm going to click on right now is BLEVE because I want to see, like, worst case scenario, what this BLEVE would do. And so I'm going to click OK. And there you go. That's our information. So we go up here to display and we hit threat zone. Now, the threat zones are a little different as well. So basically they have, look, red is potentially lethal within 60 seconds. The orange is second degree burns within 60 seconds. And then the yellow is pain or superficial burns at 60 seconds, right? So we click OK. Now we get a circular model because, again, it's an explosion. Doesn't care about wind. So now I'm going to go back here to MarPlot, and I'm going to say set point at my click point, and there we go. There's our model. So this one I'm going to snip out and new, and we'll compare these two. So this one I will save as Aloha Railcar BLEVE, and we'll set that on the desktop. So let's minimize these, and all right, here's our Wiser. Let me stretch it out a little bit, make it a little bigger, and then actually let's get our snip back up here. Here's our Aloha. So, you know, you can see come on, move for me. You can see the models are quite different. So, you know, in Wiser, it says, hey, we need to get rid of, so if you look at the closer leaf there at the Johansson, right, the exit ramps, that's a pretty good landmark. I would also say Airport Way is also a landmark. So Wiser, or the ERG, is like, wow, we got to evacuate all this, right? We got to get people out. Well, if you look at the Aloha model, you know, really the dead people are only in here. These are the wounded people. These are the walking wounded. And it doesn't even touch Airport Way, and it doesn't even touch the cloverleaf. So, you know, I would say as first responders, you know, stay in the ERG. It's a good place for you. It's very conservative. But I would say as technicians and us, or emergency response planners, you know, some sort of planner, I would say Aloha is more your friend because it's going to give us a better understanding. And, you know, it's all about resources. Evacuations are super resource intensive. So definitely I think the Aloha model played out a little better here. But anyways, again, get in there, play around with them, have fun. Hope you guys are enjoying this series.